At 56 years old, the tragedy behind Janice Dean's life is far deeper than most viewers ever realized. For years, she's been the calm face people turn to during hurricanes, blizzards, and national emergencies. Every morning she appeared steady, composed, and reassuring. But behind that familiar smile was a private battle that never truly stopped. And the hardest part, it wasn't just one devastating moment. It was years of pressure, illness, grief, and heartbreak slowly piling on top of each other. But how did it all begin? Back in 2004, Janice Dean finally got her big break when she joined Fox News as a meteorologist. Before that, she had spent years working in Canadian radio and small television stations. Early mornings, tiny studios, long shifts that started before sunrise. It wasn't glamorous work, but it taught her discipline. It taught her how to stay calm under pressure. And those skills would soon change her life. When Fox News hired her for Fox and Friends, everything accelerated overnight. Suddenly, she was appearing on one of the most watched morning shows in America, speaking to millions of viewers before they even finished breakfast. But this wasn't just casual TV chatter. Janice had to explain dangerous storms, breaking weather alerts, and evacuation risks in real time. One mistake could create panic. One missed detail could matter enormously. And viewers noticed something different about her almost immediately. She didn't sound dramatic. She sounded steady, reliable, human. That calm presence made her stand out. But while her career was finally taking off, another storm was quietly building behind the scenes. And this one was far more dangerous. The mid-2000s became one of the most intense hurricane periods in modern history. Hurricanes Charlie, Francis, Ivan, Jean, Katrina, Rita, and Wilma dominated headlines and devastated entire communities. During these non-stop emergencies, Janice became a constant presence on television. Day after day, she interpreted storm paths, explained risks, and guided viewers through uncertainty. People started calling her the weather machine and the weather queen because she always seemed prepared, no matter how chaotic things became. But what viewers didn't know was that while she was helping the country manage disasters, her own body was beginning to betray her. And at first she had no idea why. In 2005, strange symptoms started appearing: numbness in her legs, exhaustion that didn't make sense, a strange weakness that came and went without warning. At first she blamed stress. After all, she was working brutal hours in live television, but the symptoms kept getting worse. Eventually, doctors gave her an answer that changed everything: multiple sclerosis. MS is a chronic disease where the immune system attacks the nervous system itself. It can affect movement, vision, balance, energy, and coordination. Some days feel normal. Other days, the body simply refuses to cooperate. And that unpredictability became one of the hardest parts of all. Imagine trying to appear energetic and polished on live national television while secretly wondering whether your own body might fail you that day. That was Janice Dean's reality. According to her later interviews, she was encouraged to keep the diagnosis private. In television, appearance and consistency are everything, so she kept showing up every morning, every storm, every breaking weather update. While viewers saw confidence on screen, off camera she was learning how to manage a lifelong illness with no cure. And here's what makes it even more heartbreaking. The years when her illness began were also the busiest years of her career. The world was watching her more than ever, but nobody knew the pain she was carrying. Multiple sclerosis doesn't move in a straight line. Someone can appear completely healthy one day and suddenly struggle the next. That uncertainty creates constant mental pressure. Janice later spoke openly about the fear, exhaustion, and emotional strain of hiding what she was going through. Treatments helped slow the disease, but they also came with side effects and endless medical management. Still, she refused to leave broadcasting. Instead, she slowly transformed her experience into something else entirely, something personal, something honest. But then came 2020, and that's when her life took another devastating turn. When COVID-19 exploded across New York in early 2020, the state quickly became one of the worst-hit places in the world. Hospitals overflowed. Nursing homes struggled to contain outbreaks. Fear spread everywhere. And during that chaos, Janice Dean suffered a deeply personal tragedy. Her husband's parents, Mickey and Dee Newman, were living in separate care facilities when the virus swept through New York nursing homes. Within weeks of each other, both died. For Janice, the grief quickly turned into anger. Why? Because of a controversial New York policy issued in March 2020. The directive required nursing homes to accept patients discharged from hospitals, including people who had tested positive for COVID-19. Critics later argued that the policy exposed vulnerable elderly residents to enormous risk. Janice became convinced that these decisions contributed to what happened to her family. And once she started speaking publicly, everything changed. At first, many people saw her simply as a grieving daughter-in-law searching for answers. But then the political firestorm exploded. Janice began openly criticizing Governor Andrew Cuomo's administration, accusing officials of hiding the true number of nursing home deaths and avoiding accountability. Her social media posts became emotional, direct, and impossible to ignore. One line especially spread everywhere online: "I may be a weather woman, but I know when something stinks." That sentence turned her into one of Cuomo's loudest public critics almost overnight. But what happened next shocked even more people. At the time, Cuomo was being praised nationally for his COVID briefings. His approval ratings soared. Media outlets celebrated him. He published a leadership book during the pandemic and even received an International Emmy Award for his televised updates. Meanwhile, Janice Dean was publicly accusing his administration of failing thousands of elderly residents. The contrast was staggering. Then investigations began revealing troubling details. Reports showed New York had undercounted nursing home deaths by thousands. A leaked conversation from Cuomo aide Melissa DeRosa admitted officials feared the numbers would be used against us, politically. Once that became public, Janice intensified her criticism even more. She repeatedly asked one question online: "Why did you hide the numbers?" Her posts spread rapidly across social media, turning her from a weather broadcaster into a national voice for grieving families. But not everyone supported her. Critics accused her of becoming political. Some claimed she was exploiting personal tragedy. Others dismissed her as just a weather girl. Janice pushed back fiercely. She argued this was never about politics. It was about transparency, about families who lost loved ones and deserved answers. In one especially controversial post reacting to Cuomo's Emmy Award, she wrote, "Maybe he can put the Emmy next to the photos of our dead loved ones." Supporters saw raw honesty. Critics called it inflammatory. Either way, people were listening. As investigations expanded, Cuomo's image began collapsing. The same media coverage that once praised him shifted dramatically toward accusations of withheld data and political damage control. By August 2021, Cuomo resigned as governor of New York. But for Janice Dean, the resignation didn't erase the grief. It didn't bring back family. And it didn't end the emotional toll she had been carrying for years. By then, Janice was already living with another ongoing battle: multiple sclerosis. Throughout the 2010s and into the mid-2020s, she continued balancing national television with chronic illness. Some days were incredibly difficult. She later admitted there were mornings when even basic physical tasks felt exhausting. But viewers rarely saw that struggle. On screen, she remained composed, professional, dependable. Over time, though, she became more open about the realities of living with MS. She spoke about the neurological fatigue, the unpredictability, and the emotional exhaustion that comes with never fully knowing how your body will behave. She also began taking occasional breaks from broadcasting for health reasons. Yet even during those periods, she kept speaking publicly. encouraging others facing chronic illness and reminding people that resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine. Sometimes it's simply about continuing to move forward anyway. And maybe that's the most remarkable part of Janice Dean's story. Through devastating illness, public battles, personal grief, and years of pressure, she never completely disappeared from public life. She kept showing up, kept speaking, kept fighting. But after everything she's endured, one question still lingers. How much pain can one person quietly carry before the world finally notices?